Which leads us to our next speaker, who ironically happens to be Pat's father-in-law, and I don't see a smile on your face.
Here's mine.
Yeah. And
I married up. I admit it. I married up.
And I think you're going to find a very interesting story that Mark Stanley has to share with us this evening. And the theme of it is going to be that life is a gift. No ands, ifs about it. Life is a gift, and you should never, never take it for granted. So with that, our next speaker, Mark Stanley.
Hopefully I don't need the microphone. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to follow my son-in-law. I'm not a speaker. I only spoke in front of groups a few times over the year, and when I went to Barnesville High School, many years before Patrick, I'd take an F before I got up in front of a class to speak. So my insides are going. But life is a gift, as David said, and this is a great program that he had. And listening to Cindy and Patrick and also David, attitude is everything. Little brief history, I was born and brought up in Centerville also, and my daughter went to Barnesville High School, and now my grandson goes there, so I've got some deep roots here. Used to ride my bike all over Centerville as a kid. But I abused my body when I was younger with alcohol, smoking. Back then smoking was peer pressure to smoke. Nowadays it's peer pressure not to smoke. But I smoked for quite a few years. I drank heavily for quite a few years. But then, you know, in my late 30s, I decided it was time to get healthy, and I gave up. I haven't had a drink in 30 years or a cigarette in over 20 years. I was doing physical work, and then I got out of physical work and went into more of a desk job. So I started doing some cardio work and took up running, as Pat did. You know, I ran nowhere near as many as 50 marathons. I did 9. My first one was at 52 years old. My last one was at 63. So I was pretty healthy. I was, you know, running. I was still working out, going to the gym. I was eating fairly healthy, but not as healthy as I could. I wasn't putting real bad things in. Like I say, I was in good shape. And then a year ago, I was going to ask you to sing me happy birthday tonight, but my birthday's not till Saturday. I'll be 1 year old. What happened was July 22nd of last year, I was at the gym where I was 5 days a week. 3 days before, I just done an 80-mile training ride for the Pan Mass Challenge for cancer. So I was in pretty good shape for a 66-year-old guy. So like I say, I was at the gym 6 o'clock in the morning, as I do 5 days a week. Didn't feel anything, didn't have anything bad feeling coming up to this. All of a sudden, and I don't remember 5 days of my life, I dropped. I was actually dead. Luckily, where I was, there was a paramedic from Centerville Hospital. Unfortunately, it wasn't Patrick's gym, it was a gym in Hyannis. But there was also 2 doctors there. They rushed over me, called 911. They started CPR on me. The ambulance came within a couple minutes, and they took me to Cape Cod Hospital. I was there for 5 days. They had me in a coma. They zapped me 7 times in the ambulance to bring me back to life. In a coma for a day and a half or 2 days, and the time I was in the hospital all along, I don't remember a thing. I had what's called a widowmaker, which only 7% of people that have it survive. It's because, number one, where I was and what happened, but also I'll tie it into a few people, David and Patrick, attitude. You know, I wasn't going to let it get me. As soon as I got out of the hospital, and just a side note, David was talking about his brother with the LAC up in Boston. We have one of the finest cardiac units down here on Cape Cod. It's written up everywhere. After I had the heart attack and I went to see my cardiologist, Larry McAuliffe. All the doctors that are in that unit were trained at Brigham and Women's, and they came down here, I think 6 or 7 years ago now, so we don't have to go to Boston. I had one stint put in. But I went to cardiac rehab that's offered down here, and I graduated and got a certificate. I had to go to 38 sessions, and it included nutrition, what to eat, how to exercise. It taught me all about living a new lifestyle, which is a lot of what David's program here is. I follow it to the best of my ability. I'm still a little off on the eating part. I just recently dropped about 8 or 9 pounds because I'm not eating the sugars anymore. I'm trying to stay away from those, and sweets was my downfall. A very addictive personality. If I have one candy, I eat the whole bag. So if I stay away from that first one, just like a drink, I stay away from the first drink, I'm fine. Candies and sweets are my downfall. So now a lot of salads, a lot of protein. I have eggs in the morning and bacon. The bacon probably isn't the best with a couple slices of cheese, but salad for lunch or a couple of roll-ups with turkey or ham and some cheese, and then for dinner, some lean protein. I have, usually chicken. I try to eat a lot of fish and salads again. Myself, I've been staying away from bread and pastas, and it's the only thing that's really worked for me. But getting back to the attitude, a lot of people that have heart attacks, they're afraid they're going to have another one. I have not given it a thought in a year that I'm going to have another one. I've gone about my daily routine. I was back at the gym within a month as soon as the doctor cleared me. My typical week is 5 days at the gym. I still work mostly full-time. My wife just retired after 47 years of nursing, so I try to spend a little more time home. But that's another part of that triangle was the relationships. I got a wonderful wife who's always been supportive. Got a great family with my son-in-law, my daughter, and my other son. So I try to do what's right all the time. And my attitude, even my wife will say to me, somebody will say, "How are you doing?" I'll say, "Great." And she'll say, "How can you always be great?" I say, I might have a bad moment or a bad hour, but every day is great. And I've been given the greatest gift of all. I've given a second chance. And then just to wrap it up, in January, I got diagnosed with cancer. So I'm in a clinical trial up at Dana-Farber. I was up there yesterday and got my medicine for the next month. It's prostate cancer, which is very, very treatable nowadays. But my attitude is, I've got it. They offered the clinical trial and I didn't have to do it, and I said, "Will it help somebody else?" And they said, "Yes." So I went with the clinical trial, and that's been going along fine. I get a little more tired than I used to, but also I'm 67 years old, and I got to realize that I can't go to the gym in the morning, walk 18 holes of golf, and ride my bike 40 miles. I'm not getting tired. I made a mistake this Sunday. I went for a 50-mile bike ride with my group, and I didn't eat before I went. And they stopped in Woods Hole at Pie in the Sky to have breakfast, and then do the next 25. I turned around with another gal who had to get back, and came right back, and I bonked, and I went to Patrick's house in the afternoon for a birthday party, and I was just like a zombie. But I didn't treat my body well. I forgot to nourish it, So that's all I got to say. I'm not a speaker, so thank you for listening.